Yo, what is up, guys? It's time for another car ride rant. And as I always do throughout the week, I see various clips and videos from the manosphere. Definitely fresh and fit. As I always say, I definitely do not agree with everything Fresh and Fit has to say, particularly with their prescriptions for the issues. I agree with, I'm kind of like Andrew Wilson, where I agree with a lot of the issues and flaws that they point out in the West, specifically with interpersonal dynamics, but I don't always agree with how they apply it to their life and outwardly the things that they outwardly say to men and how they should move forward in their life given these issues. Some I do, but not all. And that's okay. It is absolutely okay. I know we now live in a society where any disagreement is this totally not okay thing. But disagreement is fine. I mean, that's the basis for democracy. Not that I completely believe in democracy, but nonetheless, that is the basis for it. By the way, guys, if you guys aren't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. At the very least, like, comment, share. So one of the clips that I saw had Antonio Brown on, who, that guy is definitely a goofball for the most part and has portrayed himself to be so, but he has been very successful in the sport of football, very athletic, and I do have respect for that. His antics on the field definitely left some to be desired, but nonetheless, very good football player. And the clip was asking these women on the panel, one of which was on previously, who had sex with the two short people, small people, as they're called nowadays, in a van. And in the Fresh and Fit clip before that, she alleged human trafficking for this guy who basically started her career. And the question was asked to the ladies, how much would a 50-year-old man, because they were talking about seeking arrangements, how much would a 50-year-old man, and I don't think they gave any context as far as, like, is he good looking or anything like that. Obviously he has money. How much would a 50-year-old man have to pay to just have sex with you? And obviously context matters. Like I said, I don't think they added anything like whether he was good looking, whether he had game or anything like that. And a majority of the women, now granted, these women are, a lot of them are OnlyFans creators and things like that, and obviously lack moral values. And so I always say that what we see from these women on Fresh and Fit is not 100% representative of the female population in the West, but it's close. I mean, you'd be surprised. And a majority of these women on the panel gave number one, they openly were okay with the idea of essentially selling their vagina. And two, the numbers that they had on it were like minimum $10,000 up to like $50K. And it made me think, one, you can't help but bring it to your own life. And what I always do is I think about my experience with things that I've seen, and I expound upon it as far as ideas go and trends and things like that. And it was, I just could not believe, well, I could, so I take that back. It is absolutely incredible how open society has become when it comes to selling sex or selling sexuality. Okay, that's first and foremost. We are no longer in an era where that is something that is done kind of in the shadows, and if it is done, it's not talked about. It's certainly not bragged about. It's not openly discussed. And that in and of itself, to me, is astonishing, how there's very little shame to the idea of selling your body. And essentially that where we are as a society is this very transactional experience. And I do think that that is a flaw in capitalism, and within America. I really do believe that we are seeing the end result of a capitalistic society. I believe in capitalism, but a Christian-oriented capitalism, a moralistic capitalism. I do not believe in a full-blown, just free capitalistic society, because this is the end result. You get degeneracy, and when you don't have guiding rails, you end up with a lot of terrible behavior. So that was number one. But the second thing was that these women value their vaginas so much so that it passes the bounds of delusion. It really does. You would never see any man price his dick or an experience with him really at any amount, let alone thousands of dollars. Okay. But again, and this brings me to my third point, it really does show the difference between men and women, and that we are different. And I've done and this is really where I want to bring this to. I've done a video in the past about how men should move in the workforce now that women are a mainstay in the workforce, especially when it comes to more office-related positions. I think past generations, it went from having women in the workforce, but it was still male dominated, and there wasn't HR, and it wasn't as regulated. And so I think things were able to run its course in a more natural way. But of course, that ended up going away. And we were, 70s, 80s onwards, we were introduced to HR and office culture and shit like that heavily favor women, and where the rules are not applied equally. And I've done a video in the past sharing my own experiences. One experience that I had was my very first full-time job. My supervisor, she was like she was maybe late 30s, early 40s, and she definitely used to be very attractive. She used to be a model. She was married. Her husband was a underwater welder. And I mean, she was by no means ugly like nowadays, but still, she's older. And we went out to lunch one time, and I didn't know any better. This was my first full-time job. And there was definitely things before where I knew that she, at the very least, found me attractive. And so on my part, I should have realized that and proceeded accordingly. But we were out to lunch one time and I had just broken up with the girl that I was with, and she decided to take my phone and give her a call and kind of like, haha, you're not with him and I'm spending time with him, sort of thing. And as the lunch proceeded, she ended up, I don't even know how this exactly happened. I definitely did not ask her to do this. She ended up flashing her tits with the bra on. And the business that I worked for did not have a full-blown HR, but I went to the person who was close to that and I shared what had happened, and I was advised to quit my job. So that was probably one of the biggest red pills I've ever had in my life. And I realized right then and there that the office culture thing, the HR regulations are not applied equally across the board. They're just not, because men and women are different. And I've also been a manager. So the reason why I brought up the video with Fresh and Fit and the topic at hand is to say that women, their main commodity is their sexuality, is their body, their looks, their beauty. And they know it. No matter how much society tries to promote that men and women are different, or excuse me, men and women are the same, and anything you can do, I can do better, and that, women can work in construction, women can be scientists and proceed accordingly, just like a man would. As much as they tell you that, it's a load of shit. It is garbage. Are there outliers every now and again where once in a great moon you can legitimately find a woman who doesn't do what I'm about to say? Yes. Okay. Unicorns do exist, but no, unicorns don't exist, but outliers do. But it doesn't make the rule. And what, of course, I'm talking about is women's number one commodity being their beauty, their body, their sexuality. And you saw it in the video that I explained with Fresh and Fit of what essentially they gave their price tag on their vagina. And bringing this to the workplace, this exists in the workplace as well, okay? As a manager, I have seen openly the idea of a work husband, where women who are married will find a man that they consider their work husband. Women absolutely still lead with their sexuality in the workplace. As a manager, I always dealt with, anytime women would call out of work, it would almost always be a female specific problem that you would never see with men. I'm talking, and one of them being something that men do experience but don't call out of work for. One was alleged domestic violence, and lo and behold, this chick went back to him multiple times, and she had missed like great periods of time from work. And I knew the delicacy of it, so I just passed it on to the head of HR. But that is just something you would never see. Whether she was telling the truth or not, you would never see that with a man. Women being on their periods, missing time from work, being on their periods, just various female specific problems. I have talked about in the workplace where me specifically, not just the example that I've given, where women will touch me, uh, either on the arm or on the back or on the shoulders, ways that I would never dream of doing to a woman, because I know the reality of the situation. I would never do it. Women openly talking, expressing their attraction to myself or other men in the workplace. In other words, openly flirting, in ways that I would never do, and you would seldom see from a man, and if you did, that man was a fucking idiot. So I'm saying this to say, guys, that you just need to know this fact, especially if you are in the workforce, because I believe that it's better to know the truth and proceed accordingly than to lie to yourself. Especially if you are in a position of leadership, it's not worth it. You need to know that women will almost always lead with their sexuality, with their bodies, with their beauty. And especially if you are in a position of leadership, never consider it. Always protect yourself, because no woman is worth your livelihood, your position, the embarrassment of something that went against you. It's just not worth it. And you just need to know this truth so that you don't ever allow yourself to be tempted towards that path. Now, I would say the only time that maybe it's slightly permissible is if you are on the same level of the hierarchy as that woman, and you're not above her as far as being a supervisor or something like that. But even then, I don't think it's worth it. And if you did ever consider it, the very real conversation that I would have is to say, listen, I think you're cool. We get along, but as long as we work in the same place, I'm not going to consider dating you. And then see if she's willing to find another job, because that's a good, I know for some people that may seem a bit extreme, but if she really does like you, and if it's a relationship worth risking your job, her response to that will tell you how much she's really into you. But even still, personally, I would never do it. Not for a woman on the same level as me. Definitely not a woman that's below me. And I protect myself at all costs because I know the truth of the matter. And I refuse to be one of these men that lie to themselves and think, because I've done it before. I've been there. That think that, we're supposed to be equal. We're the same. We're not. We're not. And believe me, speaking from somebody that experienced this as an underling and as a manager, seeing how things are viewed within management, all rules are not created equally. They're not. And the responses to them are also not created equally. So you guys just need to know this fact, know this truth, that women always lead with their sexuality, with their body, with their beauty. And I would also say, in general, as a man, you should try to have an abundance mindset. And when you risk everything for a chick at work, you're displaying the opposite. You're displaying a pussy mindset, a beta mindset, because there really are plenty of fish in the sea. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hope your guys' day, weekend, whatever the case may be when you're watching this video is going well. DBAP, don't be a pussy willow on facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, kings. Stay safe. God is king. Christ is king. Peace.